Kano traders lament inflation as protesters take to the streets in Minna. Soldiers neutralize rogue colleague responsible for shooting and killing a senior officer. 4-year-old grandparent severely injured in cooking gas explosion. On the international scene, Senegal police fired tear gas over protests against election postponement. Hello there, good evening and welcome to Trust TV's news update. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start in Kano as inflation continues to take its toll on Nigerians. Traders in the state are decrying the persistent increment in the price of corn flour across the markets. Trust TV's Idris Jibrin reports that a bag of 50-kilogram corn flour is now sold at 45,000 naira as against the 8,000 naira it was sold at just few months ago. His report.
Maize for people who cannot afford to buy maize to use in preparing their food. However, its price in the market is now becoming disturbing for most traders in Kano State.
To yanayin al'amarin da gaskiya abin da nake ganin ya sa yayi tsada shine gaskiya masara ta yi karanci. Yawwa ba masara.
Honestly, the reason why this thing is expensive is because the maize is now scarce in the market. You have to travel very far and wide before you get maize. And there is also cost of transportation in addition to that, which is also making it very expensive. So we are hoping that government will ensure that there is a price control so that everybody can get this thing as affordable price. Across many markets in Kano, a measure of corn flour is now sold at between 1,700 to 2,000 naira as against 300 naira some 8 months back. According to traders, the high cost of maize and transportation as well as scarcity of maize, which is the raw materials for corn flour, are largely responsible for the price increase. You see, the price of this corn flour is now very expensive. We are selling it at between 1,800, 1,700. In some cases, we sell it at 2,000 naira. So it's very expensive and we don't have choice because so many things are involved. Worried over this persistent increase in the price of food items, these people are now out on the streets of Kano metropolis to pressure authorities into taking action that will end situation. They say many Nigerians are beginning to lose their lives in search of daily bread and that inflation is showing no sign of relief for ordinary people across the country.
We are here to demonstrate and call the attention of our leaders from federal government to state level to local government level and our emirs here in Nigeria to do all what is we want to do here is to open our borders, open our land borders to provide enough food to Nigerian people.
Please stop us from this situation. We are tired. We are tired. We can't continue living in this bad situation, please. Open borders for us. Open borders for us. Let us eat food enough. Let us eat food enough so that you can control whatever kind of weapons that they are bringing throughout our food. Government can handle it. We are not the one that's supposed to do it.
These protests, according to these people, is only the beginning, as they will continue to be on the streets henceforth until the price of food items and other essential commodities are reduced. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now in other news, gunshots were fired by operatives of the Nigerian police force to disperse residents of Minna, the Niger state capital, who were protesting against the escalating cost of living in the country. As early as 7 a.m. on Monday, a group of women blocked the Minna Bida Road at the popular Bakungu roundabout to express their grievances over the rising cost of food commodities. They were later joined by men bringing vehicular movement to a standstill. Efforts by the police to control the crowd and clear the road nearly turned violent as protesters asked the police to leave the area, prompting the police to fire several shots in the air to disperse demonstrators. The spokesperson for the Niger State Police Command, DSP Wasiu Abiodun, could not be reached for comments on the development. And in other news, residents of Taraba State have expressed concern over the rising prices of food items and essential commodities while calling on the government to implement price control mechanisms. Some of the residents who spoke with Trust TV News say many residents in the state, especially low-income earners, can no longer afford 3 square meals as a day or a result, or rather due to the rising cost of food items. The residents also are accusing hoarders of grains and Sherlock traders for aiding and abetting price increase and advise government to check activities of hoarders and traders to help alleviate the suffering of Nigerians. That a measure of locally processed rice is now sold at between 1,900 naira, adding that an average family will need 5 measures in a month, as well as beans, maize, and other commodities to survive. They also noted that since the people are facing difficult times, it has become imperative for the government to do something urgent to address these economic challenges. Of the Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Hadarin Daji in Sokoto State have gunned down one of their colleagues who opened fire and killed a senior officer. The officer killed by Kingsley, a second lieutenant, was identified as Osi Ukachukwu. A military source who confirmed the tragic incident says it was reported on Sunday at about 6 p.m. James was said to have gone berserk at the forward operational base in Magami, Sokoto, and opened fire, killing Ugachukwu before he was killed by other soldiers. Now, some of his colleagues who were also injured during the incident are currently in stable conditions at a hospital. Now, there have been public concerns recently over the state of mental health of Nigerian soldiers, particularly the ones fighting terrorists in the northeastern part of the country, following the recurring nature of these incidents. Some of the soldiers have in the past complained about poor welfare, overstaying in the region, and abysmal treatment by the military hierarchy. A 4-year-old girl and her grandparents are currently in a critical condition at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital after a cooking gas explosion ravaged a 3-story building along Odubanwo Street in Ojokoro local government area, or the local council development area of Lagos State. Her uncle also suffered varying degrees of burns in the incident that occurred on Sunday. The grandmother stated that she was frying meat when the oil went up in flames. She explained that efforts to control the fire were unproductive, leading to the explosion. The explosion, which occurred at about 2 p.m., was later put out and the victims successfully rescued by members of the community. The territorial coordinator of the National Emergency Management Agency in Southwest Region, Ibrahim Farinloye, confirmed the incident to newsmen. Farinloye, who says the building with 14 rooms and shops was reduced to rubble due to the intensity of the explosion, added that 11 families were rendered homeless as a result of the fire disaster. Quite a tragedy there. Now, in the ongoing struggle to shield the people of Imo State, particularly those in Owerri West local government area of the state from the grip of insecurity, the police in the state are joining forces with the management of the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, to tackle the prevailing menace. Trust TV's Ajibade Praise tells us more on the story.
The police leadership arrived the university's Senate building to a warm welcome by the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Minna, and other administrative officials. Detailing the purpose of their visit, CP Aboki recounted the unsettling discovery in thick forest where lifeless bodies of suspected kidnapped victims were found. This forest, part of Futo's untouched lands, had transformed into a heaven for dangerous criminals, a situation Aboki vowed to eradicate through intensive patrols.
We came on challenge facing the university and the environment and the host community. We have discussed with the Vice Chancellor. She promised to assist us with logistics so that we'll be able to patrol the community. That is the host community. But in terms of the university, there is perfect peace. We don't have a problem with the university. Our problem is outside the university. That is the road and the host community.
Professor Oti emphasized the paramount need to ensure the safety and security of the university's host communities, pledging full cooperation with the police and providing the necessary support.
I'm very happy, very happy by the visit of the current CP Imo State, CP Danjuma, with his team. Is very reassuring that the security challenges or insecurity challenges in this environment is being confronted head on, and working together with their cooperation and with our cooperation going forward, we expect to see significant, drastic reduction in these ugly incidences. Thank you.
With kidnapping cases escalating in Imo State, many residents now live in fear as the perpetrators remain at large. There is hope that the collaborative strategies will yield the desired results, either leading to their arrest or complete expulsion from the state. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Dachung Pam Nwandok of the African Democratic Party and Daniel Asama of the Labour Party as winners of the Plateau North Senatorial District and Bassa Jos North Federal Constituency rerun elections conducted on Saturday. The INEC conducted court-ordered rerun elections in the Senatorial District and the Federal Constituency in Plateau State. This action followed the nullification of the elections of Senator Simon Nwandok and the representative of the area, Musa Aga of the People's Democratic Party, by the appeal court. Adu Musa tells us more.
Declaring the results, the returning officer for the Plateau North Senatorial District, Professor Nestor Chagok of the University of Jos, said Dachung Pam Nwandok scored 122,442 votes to defeat his closet challenger, Shepiu Yakubu, who scored 53,980 votes.
4-3. That Dachung Pam Nwandok of ADP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
Professor James Damen, who served as the returning officer for the Bassa Jos North Federal Constituency, also declared that Daniel Asama of the Labour Party scored 66,422 votes, defeating the second challenger, Mohammed Alkali of the PRP, who scored 61,670 votes.
336 votes. That Daniel Asama Ago of the Labour Party, having satisfied the requirement of the law, is hereby declared winner and is returned elected.
But the candidate of the NNPP has rejected the outcome of the election and called for the cancellation of the exercise.
In Nigeria in general, we shall imbibe on it. We therefore reject in strongest terms the so-called repeat election of 13 polling units in Tudun Kabong and 3 polling units in Naraguta B, believed to have arranged and scheduled in strongest words of other political party other than my party that was massively voted by the people in order to favor a prepared candidate and his party.
The breakdown of the results, as presented by INEC, showed that Shafiu Muhammad Yakubu of the NNPP came second with 53,980 votes, while Muhammad Alkali of the PRP came second in the elections. Some party agents, however, refused to sign the final result of the elections. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, a federal high court sitting in Abuja has dismissed the bail applications filed by the loyalists of the River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara linked to the attack on the State House Assembly. Now, the police had instituted terrorism-related charges against the suspects following their alleged role in the bombing of the State House of Assembly complex back in October last year. They were also accused of killing some police officers in the incident. The defendants include Chime Eguma Ezebalike, Prince Lukman Oladele, among others. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Still to come, we take a look at the growing call for state police as a panacea to national insecurity. More on this and many other stories coming up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news. Thank you very much for staying with us. Let's take another look at the top stories. Traders groan in Kano over economic hardship as inflation bites. Soldiers kill rogue colleague over shooting of senior officer. Now, the Transmission Company of Nigeria has clarified that the partial grid disturbance experienced on Sunday was as a result of gas constraints at its Ibom Power Islanded feeding Eket, Etim, Etu and Uyo transmission substations. In a statement signed by its General Manager, Public Affairs, the Transmission Company of Nigeria explains that during the partial disturbance, the total grid generation stood at 3,901.25 megawatts, just over 3 hours before the time of the partial collapse. While confirming the restoration of the affected part of the grid, the statement acknowledges the persistent low power generation in the country since January this year, aggravating daily generation due to ongoing gas constraints. The TCN emphasized that gas constraints persist, impacting grid flexibility and stability. Ensuring sufficient gas supply to power generating substations in the country is crucial for grid stability, as ample generation allows for better grid management in the event of sudden generation losses like the one encountered over the weekend. The TCN pledges to investigate the cause of the tripping of the Sapele Steam and Egbin power generating units. Residents of the Federal Capital Territory are expressing support for the proposed creation of state police as advocated by the PDP Governors Forum, which has described it as a panacea for national security. Noel Sampson gathers reactions from FCT residents in this report amid the escalating insecurity in the country. His report.
The idea of state police has been in the front burner of national discourse as a solution to the unending insecurity facing Nigeria for over a decade. Governor Bala Mohammed, chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, emphasized the importance of state police during a recent visit to Plateau State, highlighting its projected impact in bridging the gaps in the security architecture in Nigeria.
There is no dissent between the governors at the subnational level that we need to get some decentralization of the security apparatus. so that we can enhance good governance by having good state police. And again, that will give us the opportunity to engage the structured security agencies to train our youth and also make sure the rules of engagement are not abused.
In 2017, a survey conducted by NOI poll shows that 61% of Nigerians are in support of creating state police to boost the security of lives and property in the country. On the streets of Abuja, there is an apparent consensus on whether state police is the answer to Nigeria's security dilemma.
Mostly with state, when there is state police, it's going to bring a lot of improvement to the states and Nigeria as a whole.
We are moving towards being a failed state like Afghanistan. So the best option now for every reasonable person is to try state policing. The central system has collapsed, and that is it.
The essence of state police, when you look at our country nowadays, there is a lot of shortage of manpowers in police. The police is understaffed, but with state police, we could discover that our security will be improved.
The state of state police now, I want it to even materialize now. Because the way the Boko Haram, the S-men, is terrorize everybody. No state is secure. Even though in my state now, in Noyo, see, it's the way they are killing nobody, they are killing even little children. If President Tinubu can listen to us very well now, it should listen to the National Assembly, ask the National Assembly to approve the state policy.
As Nigerians continue to grapple with the numerous security challenges across the 36 states of the Federation, it remains to be seen whether the creation of the state police is attainable in the near future. No, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, to developments on the international scene. Senegal's National Assembly faced turmoil on Monday as riot police deployed tear gas to disperse protesters angered by the postponement of the February 25th presidential election. The unprecedented move to reschedule the election to August 25th and extend President Macky Sall's mandate prompted unrest and criticism. The African Union, along with regional bodies and Western governments, have called for a swift announcement of a new election date. Riot police outside the parliament used tear gas and made arrests to quell around 100 protesters. A widespread public outcry over the postponement has raised concerns the country will face violent protests like those that have intermittently broken out over concerns Sall would run for a third term in office and the alleged political sidelining of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. Now, meanwhile, Senegalese lawmakers on Monday began debating a proposal to postpone the presidential election, which was previously set for February 25th. President Macky Sall on Saturday announced a delay of the vote hours before campaigning was set to officially begin, sparking a political crisis in the country. Now, Parliament is examining a text adopted the previous day by a preparatory committee proposing a delay of 6 months or even up to a year until February 2025, according to the text distributed at the meeting. Supporters of Karim Wade, whose bid to run in the presidential race was rejected by the Constitutional Council, presented the proposal. Talking sports now, the Minister for Sports Development, Senator John Eno, has said that the Kano Golf Club is of immense cultural importance to West African history. Speaking at the Kano Golf Club Captain's inaugural tournament featuring 251 amateur and professional golfers, the minister pledged to collaborate with the appropriate ministry to label the golf course as a national heritage site.
You have a Kano Golf Club that has dated since 1903, and then you listen to the fact that the golf club itself started in 1909, and then you appreciate the fact that this will be the first, not just in Nigeria, but in the sub-region. Immediately I return to Abuja, I'm going to begin work with my colleague who is Minister of Culture and Entertainment to see how we can begin the beginning work, we can commence it to having to, label and define the Kano Golf Club as an heritage center.
Well, that's all the news. You're up to date with the latest at this hour. We'll be back with more news stories a little later. For now, follow us across our social media platforms to catch up with more of our contents. Visit our website, trusttv.com, for the latest news. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time. We'll see you soon.